everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. And truth be told, I just finished the video on answering your questions. And I want to just give you a little sneak peek because this video went an hour and 17 minutes and there were some real mind-blowing things that I got at the end of the video. Now what happens is that I ask a simple question that actually you guys asked, and that question was something about Biden. Is Biden, and it was P44 Chippo who asked, how is Biden doing? And, you know, I started saying, oh, well, you know, he's got COVID and he's not feeling really well. It's in his chest and, you know, he's feeling his age. And then all of a sudden, I was like somewhere else with Biden. Like I was, I don't know how it happened. I channeled it and I don't remember. But I want to give you this tidbit because this is brilliant and it was a big breakthrough. And it all happened, oh, right, so I was in Biden's energy. And I was just saying, like, how does he feel? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, I was thinking about North Korea. And I was thinking about, you know, I don't know, you'll have to watch the video. But I was thinking of other countries. And I thought to myself, now listen, guys, I'm channeling this. 80% is spirit, 20% is Susan. Or maybe 60-40. But anyway, I'm just enough here that I can stop the guides in the middle of the channel and ask a question. So my question was, wait a minute, wait. Why are you worried? Why is he worried about North Korea and not Trump? I mean, to me, that was glaring. It was glaring to me because I'm worried about the United States of America. I'm worried about all the things that we're facing right now as far as our civil unrest. And so I wanted to know why Biden wasn't worried about that. So I went into his energy and I found out that they laid a trap. So Biden is not worried about Trump because they've laid a trap for him and that it's done. It's sort of like, well, when you lay a trap for something, what do? You walk away. You don't sit there because if you do, whatever you're trying to trap is going to be like, hey, Biden, what are you doing here? So there's been a trap laid for him. He's dumb enough to walk into it and he will. They think it's just a matter of time. The timing is not great. It's a few more months. But I just wanted to give you that up front. That's why you should watch to the end of the video because I never know what question is going to send me on some sort of errand. You know what I mean? Like I literally just tapped into Biden's energy to see how he's feeling and I got this great information that I wasn't asking. Okay, so that's kind of my process. We talk about process. That is my process. I go into the energy and I find out what I find out. The reason I often tell you guys call 1-800 Spirit Guides is because it's not me. If you're not liking the answers to what I'm telling you, it's because that's the energy. You know, like people are always like, well, why isn't the DOJ doing something? Why isn't Garland doing something? Watch the rest of the video. You'll find out why. But I will tell you, it's because when I say that America, the United States, doesn't want to lock up its president because it makes us look bad, a lot of you guys wrote in and said, yeah, but it makes us look worse that we're not dealing with, you know, evil, that we're not having justice. And I agree with you. Susan agrees with you. However, when the question was asked initially, I went into the energy. The energy is represented by the DOJ, the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, the ATF, the State Department, the ambassadors. All those people are career, meaning this has been their whole life. They've dealt with this, some of them for decades. This is the current thinking, is you don't lock up your president. It makes you look bad. So when I tell you that, that's where the information is coming from. It's not me. It's from them. And clearly they think that because they're not doing anything, are they? So that's kind of the process, guys. That's what happens here. So I went into Biden and I was able to find out a scoop about them laying this trap for Trump. It's just part of my process. I like it because I get surprised right along with you. That was mind-blowing when I found that out in real time, right here in front of you on a video. That is me discovering something I didn't know. And I pass that along to you. That's just the way I work. I think it's unique and different than anybody else. And it might not be for you. It might not be the way you want to hear the information. You know, there are other readers that just say, yes, no, this is going to happen. This isn't going to happen. I'm always interested in the process. Why? Why is it going to happen like this? That's just how I work. So with no further ado, I will let you watch the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I would ask that you subscribe. I do notice that a lot of you people asking questions are not subscribers. Do me a favor, subscribe to my channel. It helps me and it doesn't cost you anything. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I really appreciate that. And why not just like the like button? Why not just go hog wild? Thank you guys. Take a look at this video. Let me know your comments, your questions. As usual, I'm very active in the comment section. So here we go. PB says, are we simply living in the fall of the American Republic as governments tend to do? Yeah, PB, we are. I mean, we are. It doesn't, I don't want anybody to be scared by that statement because it's not scary. It's what will humans choose? This isn't working, folks. It's not working. We have mass shootings. We have healthcare that is just not only doesn't help, but it actually is punitive. We have a greater and greater gap between the haves and the have-nots. Our government is not representative of the people. When you look at the senators, when you look at the representatives, especially, there's much more power in Wyoming than, say, New York City. Okay, I mean, we tried to apportion these things, but it didn't work. And so now we tried to make it all even. And it's not working. The way our voting system is set up, it's not working. It doesn't represent the majority of the people. So we're setting ourselves up, right? I mean, this is a setup where the majority of Americans are not happy. So far, a minority of the Americans have been more vocal and have been more strident, and you might just say a little bit more violent than the rest of us. But this is setting up to be, a clash. I do see strife. I see clashes. I see fighting. I see all that. I don't see it as a civil war per se. I don't see the one set of states taking up arms against another set of states. That is, from what the guides have showed me, and I've seen it about 5 years out, so I feel pretty confident in it, that is not going to happen. It's really going to manifest more like an insurgency, and they've been telling me this for over a year now, and to be honest with you, I've talked to people that are pretty high level. Let's just say that they're high-level, nationwide, high-level security people that would know these things. Because they were a client. And this is what they are afraid of. So it's more like an IRA, like in Ireland when they had the IRA and the IRA was doing these sort of insurgency attacks. That's kind of what we're going to be experiencing in the United States. But there's also a clash between these very small minority of people that want to cause chaos, wreak havoc, and make us unstable. And those people could very well be funded and or radicalized by another country. Okay, so in that way, America is destabilized. We're not going to fall. The American Republic is not going to fall. The democracy is not going to fall. Are we going to change? Yes, we're going to change because we have to, because we're being made to, we're being forced to. When you're forced to do something, it's not usually very fun. but we're going to be forced to do it. So 5 years out, we're going to go through some things. We're going to go through some ups and downs. We're going to have some letdowns. We're going to have some wins. It's just normal. We're going to be cheering. We're going to be crying. It's normal. Things just aren't flatline, people. We have to kind of go up and down. That's just how life is. But in 5 years, I don't see us just going down. I see us doing this. Okay? In 5 years, I think that the overall energy suggests that we will have come through something. We will have come through a very sort of America's dark night of the soul, if you will, where maybe people did question whether the democracy was going to survive. Maybe people were scared. Malcolm Nance is terrified. I mean, Malcolm Nance is an intelligence officer, was in the Navy, written at least 6 books. I have huge respect for him. His latest book is that basically democracy is on its last leg and somebody's going to kick it out from under us and it's going to be over. This guy doesn't have the benefit of being able to see 5 years out. You know, we do. 5 years out, we're good. We're learning compassion for each other. We choose. Remember, the guides keep saying, what will humans choose? We choose compassion. We choose people over profits. We start making these choices and then everything rejiggers to match that. But as we're making these choices, there's going to be pushback. They're going to try to push us back in the same box we've been in. But the energy suggests that Americans are not going to allow that to happen, that we're going to push out of that box and demand change. And that's where the friction starts happening, okay? But in 5 years, in 6 years, I see us coming to the other side and having these well-worn, well-fought-for changes. It doesn't mean that 6 years is just going to be a terrible place to live in the United States. It doesn't mean that. Remember, the guide said there's going to be a little problem and then it'll go away. A little problem, it'll go away. A little problem, it'll go away. It's not all across the United States at one time. It is going to affect us. It may affect you if you live in a city that has a problem. But overall, the United States is going to continue going on and doing what it does. It's like wildfires. We throw resources at it. We work hard to put it out. We put it out and we go on. That's kind of how you can think about the next 6 years. Wildfire, a flood, something happens. We throw resources at it. We figure it out. Hopefully we learn from our mistakes and then we go on. Okay? So I think that's a better way to describe what we're going to go through. Okay. Cindy P., thank you for your question. With everything that Robert Mueller uncovered in the Mueller report, most of us were so true Trump will be indicted. Nothing happened to Trump. New evidence seems clear. He basically led a coup against our democratic process in the U.S. Constitution, which is the peaceful transfer of power. Why at this point hasn't Merrick Garland had any of the Trump families or their conspirators arrested for planning of January 6th? I know she's growing impatient. For you guys that are new, I bought this confetti cannon and I told you guys I would, blow this up, probably blow a hole in my ceiling at the same time. When one of these people got arrested, and I don't know if this thing has an expiration date, but if it does, I need to check it because it's been too long. Okay. So that's what, Cindy P is saying. She's getting, impatient for the confetti, cannon to go off. And she says Bannon got off way too easy. Okay. Let me just take a second because they started to show me a bigger picture about this. So what happens, guys, what I really like about these questions is it helps me ask the question because, frankly, I just get PO'd. And then I don't get any messages, right? Like I'm in the kitchen, I'm just as mad as you are, right? And when I'm like that, they can't talk to me. my ego, my brain is too big. I'm too angry. I'm too upset. But so they've been trying to get this message to me. And it had to do with, it actually had to do with the January 6th committee. And it had to do, you know, they talked about this before. They talked about a tree and shaking the tree to get everything out of the tree, or smoking out something so that everybody comes out, right? And there's really, and they often tell me, Susan, you know, like 2 or 3 years from now, you guys are going to look back on this and you're going to think this is brilliant. Like what they did was brilliant. But right now we're not seeing all the moves on this chessboard. And so it just looks futile. It looks stupid. It looks, you know, clumsy, ineffective. You know, that's what it looks like to us. But so let me just tell you this very briefly, because I still don't think I have the whole thing, but this is what they're showing me. So the January 6th committee is basically shaking the tree or smoking out whatever euphemism you want to use. Now, how they're doing that, because here's the deal. When I was looking at that last January 6th committee meeting, I thought, why are these people even, you know, why are they going before the committee? You know, I mean, they could be subpoenaed, but they're really going for the committee because two or three reasons. First of all, that guy, I don't know who that guy was. He was Trump's legal guy. A little bit pompous. You know why they're doing the Jan 6 committee? Because if they show, if they're pretty open for the most part with Jan 6, they're hoping to avoid getting a subpoena for a grand jury. Because if you get subpoenaed for a court, you're going to go through something called discovery. And discovery means that they're going to go through your life with a fine-tooth comb. They're going to go through everything. You know, they're going to go through your emails, your text. They're going to be able to interview your chauffeur. They're going to be able to interview your assistant. I mean, they have pretty much carte blanche to a big chunk of your life. And these people don't want that. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say they don't want that? I'm saying to you that they would rather throw Trump under the bus with both hands. Toss him under the bus, because he's been nothing but a pain in their butt anyway. And if they can give up Trump, which they don't care about, they can keep these other things secret, like maybe some dark money, maybe some other things that they shouldn't have done, illegal investments, maybe some things that would get the attention of the IRS, maybe truly criminal things. So these people are lined up to throw Trump under the bus through the Jan 6 committee, because they really don't want to have to go before a real court and have their lives dissected. So that's one thing. Another thing is that they showed me as the Jan 6 goes through hundreds of these interviews, Garland doesn't have to. Garland can basically say, they interviewed all these people. I don't have to interview them. We have enough information about what they said to know that they don't need to go in my to-do list, on my to-do list. Okay? Because Garland has a long to-do list as it is. And they just hired over 100 new attorneys. They don't have enough people to do this anyway, to go through this. So that's part of the problem. The powers that be, these career CIA, career State Department career, FBI, ATF, NSA, DOJ, ambassadors, they are all in agreement that Trump is a problem. We don't know what to do with him. How do we neutralize him is the word that they used. How do we neutralize him? What does that mean? It means keep him from fomenting more hate, keep him from making more money off of fomenting hate, keep him from aligning with Erdogan or Putin or other people like that. He's really, truly, this is a thorn in their side. I wouldn't say, going into the energy right now, I wouldn't say that anybody is just trying to let him off the hook. That is not the energy at all. Actually, what it looks like is that, imagine Trump being a thermonuclear warhead that would be radioactive. Now imagine you walking up and grabbing a radioactive warhead and manhandling it into a police car and putting it in a jail cell. That's the energy. That's what they see. So I'm going to try to do a better job of telling you guys this, so that you don't just think that, you know, nobody is, that they think Trump is, you know, fine where he's at. It's a real problem, because the longer that he has a mouthpiece, they're saying, the longer he can communicate to his base, the longer, or the more of an inciter he incites. He's inciting violence. That's why they've always told me that the first person that was going to get him wasn't going to be the DOJ. Remember, a long time ago, the guide said 100 archers, 100 archers, all release their arrows. Their target is Trump. 95 miss. 95 just miss. Four hit him. 2 or 3 take him out. So I think that going forward, and I'm very connected to this, so this is good. Going forward, they need him taken out by somebody else, like the IRS, or Fonnie Willis, or Tish James. There's still a lot of energy around Georgia taking Trump out, because I see Atlanta and Fulton County? Fulton, whatever that county is, that is still, it's kind of like ground zero. It's ground zero for something to happen. So if you live in that county, I would just be careful around protest. I would honestly, this summer, especially, not for the rest of your life, but this summer, I would just kind of, truly, I would go to the grocery store off hours. I'd go early morning, late evening. I really would. It's a powder keg. That area is a powder keg. I feel like some of the militias may be focused on that area as ground zero. I feel that it may be ground zero. It may be that may be the actual authority that grabs a hold of Trump and does something to him. Okay? They're talking about it being cover. I don't understand this exactly, but they're talking about that being cover for Merrick Garland to do something. So I guess the DOJ needs cover. Look, guys, we already found out that some of the Secret Service people, not really, you know, they're traitors. I'm just going to call them traitors. They're traitors. Some of our people in the FBI, in the DOJ, in the Senate, in the House are traitors. Okay, so apparently Merrick Garland needs cover. I did read before that somebody right under Merrick Garland is not working for our team. Okay, and that they're very limited. They just can't go around firing people. There's something called the EEOC. You know what I mean? They have to have cause to fire you. Once you're in a government job, it's really, really hard to fire you. And Trump didn't care about the EEOC. I know because I have a client that worked at the EEOC and Trump fired them. So he didn't care. He just fired people. He didn't care about that. But the Democrats care. They're not just going to go through and fire people unless they can really have cause. So that hamstrings us. Our own, civility, professionalism, morality always hamstrings us. But what are we going to do? Are we going to turn into them and be just as, anti-law and anti-morality and civility and professionalism? So Merrick Garland needs cover. So I'm just going to tell you something is going to happen to Trump in the next 6 weeks to 2 months. They're saying 6 weeks. What is today? 25th. That would be 8/25. Oh yeah. That makes sense. Okay. They've often said September. They've often said something's going down in September and then something else is going down in December. I don't know what that is. But anyway, so there's the answer. Okay. I hope Cindy P, I hope that made sense because I always say that because I honestly don't know exactly what I just said. So, okay. Let's all pin our hopes on something happening in 6 weeks in September. It might happen before because the pressure is really on him. See, Trump is looking around and realizing that everybody's gone. Everybody is gone. He is truly alone. He has no support. There's no one that's going to go down for Trump. No one. You can't even say that Bannon is going down for Trump. Bannon isn't going down for Trump. Bannon is going down because he wants to, because it's going to trigger his people to get busy and start that whole process of civil unrest. So, Pat Lee, thank you for your question. And thank you, Cindy. Pat Lee says, are these Trumpers and hate groups made of reincarnated folks from Nazi Germany, the Civil War, or other historic periods of hate? If so, are they trying to finish what they started in bygone eras? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. You know who, I know that there's many of them, okay? I'm just going to tell you there's many of them. But for me personally, that Stephen Miller guy, that dude gives me the heebie-jeebies for real, like Goebbels. Like, I feel like that's Goebbels or something. I don't know. And I don't even know who Goebbels is. This is what they're telling me. But I just get the heebie-jeebies. Okay. So, anyway, yes, dear, I do think that. But here's the lesson. If you guys want to just get the Cliff Notes and learn the lesson of this period, I'm going to tell you. Humans choose. What do we choose? We're going to deal with something like 80% of our problems. And I'm talking about 80% of our problems. I'm talking about Supreme Court. I'm talking about the Congress, the Senate, the gerrymandered districts. I'm talking about, racism, abortion. I'm talking 80% of that. That's a lot. Imagine the chaos of addressing all of that. Okay? We're going to deal with about 80% of that in the next 5 or 6 years. That leaves 20%. This is what happened in Nazi Germany. They dealt with 80% of their problem and 20% of those people left and went to the United States. 20% of those people left and went to Argentina or wherever they went. And now, here we are dealing with it again. Until we deal with the entire problem, and that would be 100%, we're going to have to do this again. It's just like what they say in your life. If you don't deal with your issues in your life, you come back and you get another chance to deal with it again. It's the same thing. Repeating patterns. Now, we are going to deal with like 80% of a lot of things, not just 80% of one thing. So I think that's going to be huge. I think that's going to be, in some ways it's going to feel like nirvana, maybe. But there's going to be that 20% in the shadows that's going to come back and test and say, oh yeah, you think this is nirvana? We're going to test you. Do you see the cycles? Do you understand? Can you guys maybe see it in a different way now? Thank you, Pat. Yvette says, please ask your guides, do the progressives feel Biden is a loser because he is not doing enough? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. The Democratic Party is having a problem because it's very divided. For instance, look at Biden's approval rating. You guys, just mute this. Please mute what I'm about to say if you can't handle it. Biden, according to what I read, Biden's approval ratings are less than Trump's were at this time in his presidency. Okay. First of all, that's just wrong. You know? It's wrong because it's not, Biden is doing so much more than Trump did. So hear me say that. Don't say she said she was pro-Trump, because y'all, please don't test me. I'm a little bit scrappy today. No, Biden is doing 1,000,000% better. But Biden's a great president, to be honest with you. And because I'm a psychic, I realize that. Because I can see both sides of the energy, I realize that. If I wasn't psychic and I was just looking at what he's doing, his outward actions that only non-psychic people can see, I might say, what is this guy doing? What is he doing? What is Garland doing? What is the DOJ doing? I'd be really mad right now. Malcolm Nance, good example. He is mad. He's terrified. He's terrified. I don't blame him. If I was just a human without the ability to see, I would be terrified right now. Actually, I would be in Costa Rica or something. I don't even think I'd be in the United States. So yeah, it is frightening. It is, they do feel that, but we have to hang together, because I get it that the progressives are feeling like he's not doing enough, but I want to give you a really important, message here. And that is, there are saboteurs in our midst that are on social media, that are saying bad things about Biden under the guise of being a yellow dog or a blue dog Democrat. But they're not. They're saboteurs. They're mixing it up. They're trying to get us to fight each other. And it's so hard to spot them that I got fooled by somebody yesterday, and I thought, well, darn, they sure fooled me. It's harder and harder to see who's who and what's what these days, okay? So you really have to use your intuitive abilities. But yes, the progressives are upset, but we have to hang together. We have no choice. If we don't hang together, it's over. Again, like the Gen Z that are, I say this every time, this massive group of people that's going to be voting this fall. Gen Z and other people. And a lot of Republicans going to be voting for Democrats. But honey, they're voting for Democrats because they're trying to save us. They're not voting for Democrats because they love our party. They're not voting for us because they love our party. They're voting because they don't have a choice. It's us or Putin. So that's going to happen. They're going to vote D. But after that, the Democrats get in the House and the Senate in whatever majority we get, which will be a majority, but God, please let it be a super majority. Then y'all, we have to do it. We have to pass laws. We have to pass laws over the backs of Republicans. We have to run roughshod over them. Forget any kind of, forget it. We know what the American people want. If we have a supermajority, then we have a mandate, and then we get in there and we vote and we pass these laws. We pass all the laws, the environmental laws, the pro-abortion laws, the anti-racism laws, the separation of church and state laws. We take away this nonsense that the Supreme Court thinks that states should be able to just nullify any vote that they want and hand it to the other person. Okay, so then once we do the work, we get the respect of the progressives, the middle, the conservative, and also these new people that voted D. Hopefully that made sense. Thank you for your question. P44 Chippo, thank you for your question. Says, hi, Susan. Hi. I love this little person with their hand up. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts. You're welcome. How is Joe Biden really doing with his physical health? Well, as you know, right now he has COVID. And everybody is saying he's doing really well. Guess what? He's not doing so well. It's in his chest. He feels it. He's been running on adrenaline. To be honest with you, he didn't even really want to be president, I don't think. He somehow knew that it was his, he somehow knew that this was his role, that he was supposed to do this. And then also, the powers that be knew that he would get broader support than, say, Bernie or whatever. So that's not me saying I hate Bernie. That's not me saying anything. That's the guides saying this is what they think happened. Okay. So, he's got COVID. He doesn't feel good. It's in his chest. He's tired. He's feeling his age right now. He has incredible worries. He's worried about North Korea for some reason. He's worried about China. He's worried about Putin and Ukraine. Isn't it interesting that I didn't see him worried about Trump? Isn't it interesting? See, you can learn from what they don't say. Okay? That's why I don't go into a full channel and let them take over, because I can sort of interject sometimes. So I wonder why he's not worried about Trump. They've laid a trap. They've laid a trap. They're calling it a snare, which is a trap. But it's got points and then like wires. Oh my gosh. Check this out, you guys. So there's this trap and it looks like an octagon kind of. It's got like points and wires, okay? But Trump's not in the middle yet. That's why I said, oh my God, you guys. Trump's on the outside of the trap. And who was it that called Trump ham-fisted? Ham-fisted. It's such an old American term. I love it. It just means clumsy and stupid, basically. Trump's on the outside of the trap. And Trump being Trump, you know, he's like, ooh, his little eyes are going like this, like, ooh, I want that, I want that. There's something in the trap that he wants. They laid a trap for him. And they're all but assured he's going to go in and get it. And you know what else is interesting? They just showed me. Did you guys hear the news about how Trump picked up the phone himself and called one of the, and this is recent, I'm talking about recently, he called one of the, he called somebody himself. He didn't have Rudy Giuliani do it. He didn't have anybody else do it. What did they say earlier? He doesn't have anybody else to make these phone calls. Number one. Number two, he can't trust that they do because they started telling him that they were making the calls, but they weren't. So Trump is now doing his own business. Now, why did I say this? Well, because normally Trump would send somebody else into the trap. Go do that for me. Go get that. Go make that call, make that connection, do that thing. But because Trump doesn't have anybody to do that for him, he's going to do it himself. And he's going to walk right in the trap. And that's where we get maybe December. See, that's December. Come on, y'all. Don't play with me. Y'all said September. I told you something else was going to happen in December. Something's going to happen December 15th, okay? But is he going to go into the trap in September? Y'all, I feel confident that I can speak for everybody watching this video when I say that we can't wait till December. So let's move this up. See, I got so excited and now I'm so deflated. Because they may lay the trap in September and the trap is sprung in December. But that makes me sad because I was hoping he would go down in September. They can't get everybody in place. It's not that they don't want to. They can't handle the nuclear reactor themselves. The nuclear reactor has to go into the trap itself and then set the trap off. And no one can have, you know, I don't understand. No one can have hands on it. And remember, they said to give Garland cover. They needed to give him cover. I think that's because there's this person in Garland's, right under Garland, that is a traitor. So they have to give Garland cover to make it look like Garland isn't going after Trump. If this isn't making your head hurt, it's making my head hurt. So let me just do this, if bear with me. Okay, so if we're here, we're in July, the end of July. Okay, show me the steps. So we go into August. They are showing me Secret Service people because they have black ties and black tie, white shirt, black blazer. I think that's Secret Service, right? Okay, so they show me these people acting on behalf of who? Acting on behalf of him. Who's him? See, this guy doesn't know I'm watching him. I'm in the future. So he's not going to tell me Trump because he's like him. Like, you know who I'm talking about. I'm like, no, I really don't. But it feels like acting on behalf of Trump. And on top of that, just a little digression. I have a ghost. Something keeps knocking things over and my dog barks at it. So, you know what? I'm busy right now, but when I get done with this video, I'm fixing to have to deal with you. So you can go now. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Stop knocking things over. I heard something that sounded like an entire chandelier crashed an hour before this video. And now I just heard something else again. It's not funny. I don't think it's funny. If it's one of my family members, y'all need to leave me alone. I'm working. Okay, back to our regular program. Oh, wow. It could be. Remember in the last video, guys, the one that I did with the channeling, if you watched that, I talked about there's some energy around Trump wanting to run and hide, escape the country. He's a free citizen right now. He can do that. We're not, the charges that we can get against him from Fannie Willis are not ready. You can only do what you can do. Apparently Garland cannot, I keep saying that and y'all yell at me, but don't yell at me. Yell at them. 1-800-SPIRIT Guides, you know, press 1 for complaints. Garland, for whatever reason, cannot do this. Okay, he cannot do this. You guys, maybe if Garland presses charges, that's a tripwire and then something bad happens. And maybe the Biden it's not worth it. Remember, thermonuclear reactor, that's what Trump is. They can't touch him. He's too hot. He's radioactive. So they have to go about this differently. They have to set this trap where there's no hands. Nobody's going to get burned. Nobody, there must be something. And so I started to tell you that there's this energy around him absconding, him going to a different country. And there's lots of double and triple crossing going on here. I never watched James Bond movies. I'm really and I'm not putting myself down. I'm just telling you, I'm a good vessel. There's a reason I'm a good vessel. In some ways, I'm very earnest. And so that double, triple crossing kind of blows my mind. But there is double, triple crossing going on here. So what happens is Trump absconds. He goes to a place. Don't ask me why, but Vienna, Austria, just came to my mind. And he's thinks that he's given safe quarters, but in reality, when he's there, he commits a crime. and he's extradited back to the United States, or there's some, it's not what it looks, you guys. If Trump leaves the country, it's not what it looks, you guys. None of this is what it looks like. Remember when they said earlier that 2 years from now, we're going to look back on it and go, holy, there'll be movies about this. The triple cross, the double cross. There's going to be movies about this. We just can't see it from our human perspective. But there's a much bigger thing going on here. All of this off of your question about, is Biden okay? The end result is always the same. I see him in some sort of facility or house arrest wearing some sort of white, expensive satin or whatever is expensive, I don't know, pajama-y things. I mean, he might even have, they may even be embossed. You know, he might even have them, in, you know, with Donald, president on him. Who cares? He's locked up. He's living in a world of make-believe. You know what I mean? He's they're showing me, for you British, I gotta have a lot of whatever. They're showing me how kings and queens used to lock up their kids that were perhaps not, that had some sort of, you know, cerebral palsy, or perhaps they were not 100%, you know, whatever. They didn't represent the crown, so they would just lock them up. That's kind of what we do to Trump. We sort of lock them up in a very spacious, beautiful place, but no one has access to him. He has no access to anybody else. Therefore, the thermonuclear reactor is now, you know, in whatever thing they do with nuclear, you know, to render it safe. You know what I mean? It's contained in a containment place. Holy smokes. Okay, I don't know, man. I'm going to read a few more questions, and then I'm going to have to do part two. Joni, Angels Are Real says, Matt Gaetz be convicted for human and drug trafficking. I can't do them together, because if he's convicted of one and not the other, I'm going to give you the wrong answer for the other. So when you ask questions, you really need to split them up. I'm just telling you for your own self, when you ask questions of spirit, make them specific. For me, I can split it up for you. It's not a problem. Is sex with an underage? They're telling me he's going to be convicted of having sex with an underage person. I don't think that's trafficking. I don't know. And then drug trafficking, is he going to be convicted on drug? I feel like he's going to get off on that. He's not going to get. I see it. I do see it around him, but it's around him. I think that he might be able to offload that charge onto somebody else and wiggle out of it. But yeah, that's what I see. And then her other question is, will Ginny Thomas be held accountable? Prison time for her treasonous actions. See, that's how you ask a question. Because I said held accountable. I didn't see the prison time coming in that question. No, she's not going to get prison time. I mean, where's my phone? Call 1-800. She's not going to get prison time. It makes me insanely mad, because I see that sneer. They show it to me ever so often, and I've talked about it before. She has this sneer of a smile. You know, her smile is like sneery. Anyway, I just want to call her a snake, but I swear you malign these animals when you call these people these things. They get off. Okay, they get off. I asked them, what I was doing just then was asking them, well, if she's going to get off, but will she continue? See, if Thomas is not on the Supreme Court anymore, which is what I see. So let's move them into the private sector. So here's Ginny and Clarence Thomas living their life as private citizens. He's no longer a Supreme Court judge. So what I was asking them was, is she still going to be able to do all the other stuff that she's always done? Incite people and sort of try to get people to be, less than they should be. You know what I mean? Their lower intentions, to the devil on their shoulder instead of the angel. She's always wanting you to talk to the devil on your shoulder instead of the angel on your shoulder. She incites people to their lower vibration. But yeah, she's going to continue doing that, but it's not going to matter so much. Remember, we're going through these changes. The people will change. The people will speak. The people will say, we don't want this anymore. The people will start saying that they want media to be held accountable. We will start holding these people accountable that are on these cable or whatever. And that could be me, right? I mean, I could fall in that category of, you're a psychic and you're talking about things that aren't real. You can't prove it. Therefore, we're going to take you off YouTube. That could be me too. I'm over here saying things nobody can prove. The same way she's going around telling everybody that, Antifa is bad. Black Lives Matter is bad. Do you understand? That's kind of where we're going, to be honest with you, is this time where everything gets pretty rigid. And that's why I opened my Patreon account, because the guides told me to do that 2 years ago, because there's going to be a time when public speech is going to be much more monitored. I could have a YouTube channel and tell you guys about ghosts and everything else all day long. But when it comes to me saying that Jenny Thomas is a snake and that she's doing the inciting violence, then that makes me a target. Okay. Just like it would make anybody else a target. So that's kind of what's coming for us. But I'm okay with that, actually, to be honest with you. We're going to have to do some work around the First Amendment. So that's coming. Earth Mama says, what was Trump's plan if he had gone up to the Capitol Hill during the insurrection? Trump's plan was to encourage those people to take over the Capitol. That was his plan. His plan was that and this is something I never thought of before until like a few days ago, because if you don't ask the questions, you don't get the answers. And I heard somebody say that Pence has never said this publicly, but Pence thought to his aides, if I leave, I'm never coming back. And if we don't come back to count these votes and, sanctify this vote, then game over. So we can't leave. That's why Josh Hawley ran. He wanted everybody to run. He wanted everybody to vacate the Capitol so that then Trump could call martial law, and then he could theoretically have more pressure on those state secretaries of state that, call the vote. When you have martial law and he has control of the country from a commander-in-chief, then he could indefinitely stay as commander-in-chief as long as it was martial law, as long as there was cause for martial law. And the whole thing would have been drug out a lot longer. So that was Trump's plan. He wanted to go there. He wanted to encourage those people to go in. He wanted to flush out. There's this theme that continues, flush out, whether it's good or bad. The energy is to flush out. Trump wanted to clear the swamp, flush out, clean out. That's the energy here. The question is, do we clean out the good or do we clean out the bad? Remember what the guides keep saying. What will the people choose? They don't have an emotional, outcome in their mind. It's up to us. Do we choose good? Do we choose bad? Isn't that interesting? I mean, if you stayed to this long, not only do you get a gold star, but you also got that information, which I think is phenomenal. I think it's very thought-provoking that Trump is doing the same thing that we're doing. He's just flushing out the good to get rid of it. We're trying to flush out the bad to get rid of it. So that's what Trump wanted to do when he did that. This is the last thing I'm going to do, and I'll go to a part 2. And I promise part 2 will be faster. I'll get to a lot more questions, first of all, because I have to. And second of all, I won't take so much time talking about the process. I know you guys, some of you want the process, some of you don't want the process. All I can just tell you is this is me. I'm talking to my guides real time. I'm having aha moments in the middle of this video. I think that's pretty interesting. You get to see how I interact with my guides, the information that I get. You get to see it as I get to see it. I think that's pretty interesting and different and unique to what other people are doing. Maybe that's just me. If that doesn't work for you, you're probably not watching now anyway. You already clicked this off and after 5 minutes. So for the rest of you, here we are. Thank you. You are just like me and I'm just like you. We have a lot in common. Mark L says, will Steve Bannon be stopped? I watched the CNN special about him and it was frightening. Yeah, people were talking about that. I didn't watch it because first of all, I don't want to cloud. I want to know that what I get is from my guides and not from the news. His idol seems to be Hitler's propagandist. Is he a Nazi reincarnated? Perhaps Hitler's not propagandist. Yes, he's a little different than a Nazi, but yeah, he's a Nazi, but he's a little different. Now I'm going to say for entertainment purposes only, because I don't want any trouble. And I'm going to say that it is my opinion that sometimes Bannon has personality traits that remind me of a Nazi. How about that? Sometimes he has personality traits that remind me of a classist. So I feel like looking at Bannon's ideology, his public statements, if you could roll a Nazi into wanting some fealty, royalty, that kind of energy of there is an upper crust, and then there's the next layer, 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 the next layer. That's Bannon. Bannon, it thinks he's upper crust. He's a white male. And for him, the upper crust would be white males that have a lot of money, that you could be an intellect and get into that as long as you had a lot of money. It's power. Money is power. So that's Bannon. It is Nazi, but I think there's other attributes to it that make it a little bit different. I don't feel like he likes Jewish people. I don't know if he's ever said that out loud, but I do feel that he does not like other cultures. Again, it's that royalty, that kind of like blue blood, like you got here because you're special, because your blood is special, that kind of energy. Hopefully that makes sense, Margell. I'm going to end this video right now. My gosh. Thank you guys so much. If you're still watching, thank you so much. I realize that, it's hard to find an hour and 15 minutes, right? It's hard to find that time in your life. And I really appreciate you watching. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for understanding my process. Thank you for finding it intriguing and interesting in the way that I do. And take really good care of yourself, okay? I don't know. I'm still piecing it all together because I'm still kind of out of my head, but I feel like a lot of dots were connected in this video, and I hope that you feel like that, and I hope that you feel like it's made you feel better about some things. Even if we have to wait till December for the hammer to drop, I guess we have to. I'm going to go back, and if I get more information, I will definitely let you guys know about the difference between the September and the December thing. Don't know about that, but I feel better. I feel that things are really being done. The fact that Biden is not concerned about Trump was a real boom light bulb moment for me. I mean, maybe we should worry about why he's worried about North Korea, but the fact that he's not worried about Trump, I mean, Trump is an irritant to him. It's like, when he thinks about Trump, he kind of cusses under his breath. He has to walk out of the room. Like, Trump just irritates him like nothing else, but he's not concerned about Trump. To him, Trump is being managed, and there's a plan. There's a plan in place. So that made me feel better. Thank you guys so much. Take really good care of yourselves. Check out part 2, probably in a few days. We'll talk soon. For entertainment purposes only.